Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
I'm so great. How are you?
I'm doing so well. I'm so excited to be chatting with you today. How are you doing? How
I
have been since the
I'm
opening?
feeling so good. I'm feeling so rested. We had quite a marathon of sorts. You were at opening, so you knew the hype, you knew all the energy that we had, but then we had double show day yesterday, which was so much fun, but also like my sleep. I'm grateful to have slept in my own bed tonight. So we're very happy. Yes.
So good, so good. To all those who are tuning in, thank you for joining. I'm Annalie with Broadway in Chicago. I'm chatting with Jasmine Forsberg from Six, and we're just going to have a chat about what life on tour is going to be like. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. We'll get to as many as possible. Some of you are joining from the UK. Hi to the UK from Chicago. But first of all, we're going to start with some rapid fire fun questions here.
Okay.
And
Excited.
I feel like I have to wear my Six crown for this.
Yes, you queen. You look so good. I love it.
So good. Okay, what is your favorite dessert?
Oh my gosh, my favorite dessert is at this moment a red bean bun.
Oh,
Yes.
those are so good.
Sorry. The grandfather clock is going off. It's gonna go off. It's gonna time 12 times.
It is 12 p.m. What is your current favorite TV show you're watching these days, if you have one?
New Girl is always my go-to. I think it is just so fun. So funny.
So good. What is your current favorite album / artist you're listening to these days?
I'm really obsessed with Adam Melchor lately. I've been listening to Real Estate on repeat. I don't know why I'm getting myself in the feel so much by listening to that, but it's a go-to for right now.
So good. And then if you can recall, what is the first show that you were ever in, and it doesn't have to be professional?
The first show I was ever in was 101 Dalmatians with Magic Curtain Productions, a community youth theater in Central Florida, and I played an added puppy. Her name was Penny.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Alrighty, so we'll dive right in. I want to start at the very beginning about what sparked your love for theater. Was it playing this puppy, or was it something later on?
I feel like there was a natural series of events. Honestly, I started taking dance lessons when I was 2, and I was ice skating here in Illinois, actually. And then I started piano lessons when I was 3. So music and performing arts has always been a part of my life. But it wasn't until I moved down to Florida that I started taking voice lessons, and it was a matter of time before I tried my hand at my first show, and it was that element of storytelling that really got me, and that like sealed the deal, and I never looked back since. It was apparently the added puppy Penny that really made my heart flutter.
That's so exciting. And so you studied theater in college, is that correct?
I did, yes. I went to Penn State University for musical theater, and I just graduated back in 2021. And this is my first big gig outside of school, and it just is a dream come true, for sure.
That's incredible to be a recent college graduate and coming into this incredible show as one of the lead actresses. Tell us a little bit about what kind of advice would you give to fellow recent college graduates, early 20s, about, just advice for actors who are in the same boat?
Yeah, I think my experience auditioning for Six actually was a perfect example of the advice that I'd like to share, and that is show up as your true, authentic self from the get-go. Don't try and be what you think somebody wants you to be in the audition room, in life, period. But with Six, I had this idea of what I thought that the creative team would see me as. And Jasmine, the performer, loves to put on that sassy ball of fire energy. But I think Jasmine, the human, is very much the goofball derp that Jane Seymour really is, in my opinion. And I think the creative team saw me for who I was, not the front that I was trying to put on when I was auditioning for them. And it was really special to feel like I was seen for who I am. And so I would just say, yeah, so many people are going to try to put you in a box. So the least you can do, you owe it to yourself to not do that at all for yourself. So yeah, just showing up as who you truly are.
Absolutely. What drew you to audition for Six? There's so many shows going on. Have you seen the show before and that made you want to do this or something else?
I hadn't actually seen the show before, but one of my former professors at Penn State, his name was J. Austin Iyer. We, at the School of Theater, we had this thing called Gay Prom, a lovely celebration that happened every spring, put on by the School of Theater. And at this cabaret that was performed, he did a drag number of Get Down. And I was like, what is this show? I need to know more about it. I was obsessed. He had all of his backup dancers. He had them like feeding him grapes. It was incredible. And from that point on, I was like, I need to know more about this. And when the pandemic happened, obviously, I know the whole story of the Broadway company being completely shut down on their opening night. And so when things started picking back up again, there was this talk of this tour, and I figured, this seems like a show that really speaks to me and is right up my alley in terms of what I love to do as a performer. And so I just tried my hand at auditioning, and here we are, and it worked out so wonderfully. So yeah.
So fantastic. And you're here now. You're in Chicago. Tell us a little bit about a little bit more about your connection to Chicago. I know that you said when you were very young you were here, and then you moved, and now you're back.
Yes. Now I'm back. So actually, currently in this moment, I am at my grandparents' house in Niles, in the suburb of Chicago, and so I'm enjoying my time here. But all of my family, I grew up in Lake Zurich. I lived here for about 5-6 years or so, and that's where that's where a lot of my family still is. They live in Naperville. Like, my parents were both from here, so their life is here, really. But we moved down to Orlando when I was fairly young, and every summer I would come for maybe 1 week, 10 days, 2 weeks, and spend time with my grandparents in this very apartment. So who would have thought that I'd be spending 3 months here? But it is such a joy, and it feels like I'm honestly making up for a lot of lost time that I didn't get with my family and my people over the pandemic, and it feels really nice. And I think I'm going to cherish this time that I have with them for forever. So yeah.
Absolutely. Going back to one of your last responses, you mentioned that Jane Seymour has everything like you, just relating as a performer. And I know that you are not only a spectacular actress, but you're also a songwriter and you write your own stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I love writing my own music. There's actually a song. So here you'll see there's a guitar case. There's a guitar over here as well. My grandpa, he is obsessed with music, and downstairs he has his whole stereo system set up. And being here and being surrounded by all this music all the time, I feel like I grew up and I loved telling stories through music. It felt like my own personal journal of sorts, and my way of reflecting things and reflecting on situations and being able to like pour my heart out into a song. And there's a funny story, actually. One of my favorite songs that I've ever written, it's called Number One. And it's not released on any platform or anything like that, but I wrote it on this couch that's to my right here. And I still play that every so often. And I just have had a couple moments where I've been sitting on this couch and being like, wow, so much creativity has happened in this one space. And again, who would have thought that I'd be back here for such a solid chunk of time? And but yeah, I do. I love writing music. It's something that I love to do in my free time. If I could pursue it and make something of it, I absolutely would. But I think my focus right now is on Six, and so hopefully there will be a best of both worlds situation in the future. But yeah,
that's incredible. We have a couple of questions here. Specifically, here are two. How are you so consistent on doing those high notes in harder stuff?
I love this question. The secret to all of it, I would say, is mixing. I had incredible vocal professors at Penn State who helped me find a lovely, healthy balance of what it's like to find a show that you can do 8 times a week. And luckily, even though that seems like a crazy option I feel very healthy when I do it. It feels like something I can consistently do. But mix for your life. It is not a belt whatsoever.
Oh, that's incredible.
It's fake. I'm faking it. I'm faking it all. But nobody needs to know that. It's fine.
Well, you're doing a very convincing job at faking it.
Thank you so much.
Nailed it both times. let's talk about how you prepared as an actress for this role as Jane Seymour. What type of preparation did you do?
So, leading into this process, our director, Megan Farley, she sent us a book. I believe it's called, I don't know who it's written by, but I think it's called The Six Wives of Henry VIII. And it's like a chunky, thick book with all of the information you could need on these queens' lives. And so we each read our chapter and got an understanding of, or our section, I should say, and got an understanding of what our wives, our queens did historically speaking. And then we also were given this incredible documentary to watch as well, which was so cheeky and fun. And it gave you a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge look into like the type of humor that the show was lending itself to. But when it came to finding Jane Seymour, we had these historical chats at the beginning of our rehearsal process where we got a date by date breakdown of like what has happened in their life. And we, as a team, not only myself, but also the two alternates who cover Seymour as well, we were brought into this little group session where we could talk about and go line by line and talk about how what is written in the text of the script and in the score is actually like completely historically accurate, even though it is heightened, of course, in the theatrical sense. And one of the things that I loved, and I think my castmate Kelly Denise Taylor was the one who brought this up, was Jane's love for her family. Like the two prior queens before, Catherine of Aragon and Anne Boleyn, they were both very ambitious. They were both very well educated women in their time, and they wanted to, be very much a part of the monarchy. Whereas with Jane, she kind of was a plain Jane. She didn't go through like the intense schooling that they went through. But what really resonated with me was Kelly brought up, her love for her family, her wanting her family, and the dream of creating that for herself and for the king as well. Like that was enough. And my own mom, I grew up with two older brothers, and my mom, her job was taking care of us, and connecting to Jane really made me, I've always loved my mom, obviously, but it made me like really, really appreciate her so much more, because it is enough to want to love and care for your family. And it is very much the probably the hardest job of all, of literally anything. So yeah, so much respect for all the moms out there.
Absolutely. How are you personally similar and different to Jane?
So I think historically speaking, Jane had been thought of as this person who was very obedient, dutiful, respectful, very just and morally like virtuous. And in many ways, that's not me. I think I have a little bit more of a zest for life than Jane does. But similarly to her, just on that note of loving family, my family is they're the most important people in the world to me. And being in Chicago too, surrounded by all of my family, I feel that love, and it's so palpable. And I think that's the one thing that we truly have in common is just being able to say we would do anything for our loved ones, for sure.
Absolutely. Thinking now to just the entire Aragon tour cast. You all have such incredible chemistry on stage. It's such a beautifully diverse cast as well. Tell us a little bit about just the chemistry that you've built with your fellow queens.
So for the people who have seen the show and for the people who have yet to see the show, the chemistry that you see on stage is exactly who we are off stage. I've never actually experienced a group of women who truly are the most supportive, genuine, loving, caring people. They've created, and the creatives as well, and the entire company have created such a safe space for us to be vulnerable and to take risks and to just have fun and tell the story as our authentic selves. And it is a bond unlike anything I've ever experienced before. And being able to say I'm going on tour with them for a year just makes me so excited, because it is, like I found my girl gang, truly. Like they're just incredible human beings. And we share so many laughs. I swear, all of us were so fierce on stage, but then we get off stage and we're just like goofballs with each other, and it's so much fun.
Oh, that's fantastic. We have a comment that came in. How have you grown as a performer since your younger days?
Since my younger days, oh my gosh, the growth. I feel like I'm learning something every single day about myself, about the craft. I would say being I feel so much more self-assured lately, and I think that that has been very much reflected in the work that I'm doing. When you just know that you are when you have those moments where you feel like you're in line with exactly what you're meant to be doing, you feel this sense, you feel planted, you feel in the ground, and that makes you be able to just like give your whole heart and your whole self to whatever you do. And that's how I feel in this moment with this show and with this cast and this company. And I'm just so grateful for that. But I would say in the technical sense, being a recent grad of Penn State, I think that training was unlike anything I've ever experienced too. And so that it's just I feel like I have a nice foundation to launch myself from in the future. Yeah. And presently.
Absolutely. I I did a little bit of stalking and I went to your website, and great website. Everyone go to it.
Thank you. Shout out Dan Teixeira. Shout out for the web design.
In your bio, you put that you are a proud Filipino. Can you tell me a little bit about how your roots influence you as a performer?
So something, I don't know if this is gonna fully answer your question, but I got an email. I had a gut response to this because I got an email a couple nights ago from a woman named Leah Cruz and her daughter Mimi, who came to the first preview. She was dressed as Anne Boleyn, and so the publicity team gave her tickets to opening night, so they were there on opening as well. And hearing her, sorry, the grandfather clock. She's living her life. In the email, it said that Mimi had also gone to my website and saw that I was a Filipino woman, and being able to be on stage and to have young people, regardless of whether they want to pursue theater or not, to be able to have young people see themselves represented on stage is such a special feeling. And growing up, I didn't really get to see all that much of it. I remember people would call me like a little Lea Salonga because that was one of the only artists at the time that one of the only big artists that they could compare me to. And so I grew up idolizing her. But it feels so special to be able to share this, like with this diverse cast, for all of these young people to see themselves represented on stage. I think is something that is just so magical, and it's not something you see every day. So it's very special to be a part of this, for sure.
Oh, that's fantastic. I can't think of a better way to end this. Jasmine, thank you so much for sharing your time and talents with us.
Thank you.
So grateful. If you're watching this and you have seen Six and loved it and want to see it again, you should. If you have Six, I highly recommend it. It's really fantastic. See Jasmine and the rest of the talented company at the CIBC Theater until July 3rd only. Plenty of time. See it twice, 6 times, however many times. It's awesome. Jasmine, thank you so much again. Everyone, have a great rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Annalie. Have a great day.